All right, let's get right into it. OpenAI just dropped their latest model, GPT-5.5, on April 23rd, 2026. We're going to break down exactly what this means for you as a developer.
Okay, so let's dive in. It feels like there's a new model every other week, and it is so easy to get lost in all the noise. So let's just cut right through it and focus on the 3 core upgrades and the 1 action plan you should really be thinking about. First off, we have to talk about the pace, because honestly, it's a huge part of the story here. OpenAI isn't waiting around for these massive, once-a-year bombshells. Nope, they're shipping incrementally, and they are shipping fast. I mean, just look at this timeline. There was a release in November, another one in December, then we got GPT 5.4 in March, and boom, here we are with GPT 5.5 exactly 1 month later. This rapid, steady deployment isn't an accident. It's the new normal.
And if you think this pace is fast, get this. Here's the perspective from inside OpenAI. Their chief scientist, Yakub Bachalki, basically said that the last couple of years have been, in his words, surprisingly slow. The takeaway is pretty clear. Expect this to continue or, maybe even speed up.
So, with that insane pace in mind, what did OpenAI actually ship this time around? Well, it all boils down to 3 core upgrades that really matter for anyone who's building with these models.
The first, and really the biggest push, is all around what they're calling agentic capabilities. This is not just about answering a single prompt anymore. This is about giving the model a complex goal and having it figure out the steps, use the tools it needs, and see the whole task through to the end, all on its own.
And this quote from Greg Brockman just illustrates the vision perfectly. It's all about reliability and autonomy. The goal is to move away from being a micromanager, carefully guiding every single step, to just handing off a complex job and trusting the model to handle the messy middle.
The second key improvement is a straight-up win for anyone using the Codex API. The announcement says GPT 5.5 uses significantly fewer tokens for coding tasks. They haven't given us a hard number, but for anyone running high-volume coding pipelines, this could translate directly to some serious cost savings.
And third, there's a big update on the safety front. With this model, OpenAI is deploying its strongest set of cybersecurity classifiers to date. This is all part of their bigger preparedness framework, and it's designed to add much stricter controls around potential cyber risks.
Now, what's really interesting here is OpenAI's honesty. They're telling you right up front that these new safeguards might be, annoying, especially for security researchers or pen testers. They're saying they expect to tune them, but the initial rollout is going to be intentionally strict. And they did give us one specific, pretty credible benchmark that's worth looking at. On GeneBench, which tests these complex multi-day scientific analysis tasks, GPT 5.5 showed a clear improvement. This is a really strong signal for anyone working in bioinformatics or that kind of heavy quantitative research.
Okay, so that's what's new in the model itself. Now let's just zoom out for a second and try to understand the strategic context here. What this release says about the bigger competitive landscape.
OpenAI released its own internal benchmarks, and surprise, surprise, they show GPT 5.5 outperforming key competitors like Google's Gemini 3.1 Pro and Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.5 across a bunch of tasks. But, and this is a really big but, you have to take these with a grain of salt. These are not independent audits, and the AI world moves so fast that these charts don't even include Anthropic's most recent release, Claude Opus 4.7. So yeah, they're a data point, but they are definitely not the final word.
On the press call, Greg Brockman also positioned this release as just another step towards their long-term vision of a super app. The idea is to unify all their different services, ChatGPT for conversations, Code for code, AI browsing, into a single super powerful tool, especially for their enterprise customers.
So, putting all of that together, what should you actually do right now? Let's get practical with a simple 3-step action plan based on this release.
Okay, first, if you're a heavy Codex user, your homework is simple. Measure your token consumption on your typical workloads now. Then, upgrade and measure again. Significantly fewer is a nice promise, but you need to find out what that actually means for your bottom line. Second, if you're building agents, now's your chance to really pressure test OpenAI's biggest claim. Take those complex multi-step workflows where GPT 5.4 might have failed or gotten stuck. Run them on 5.5 and see if that reliability is genuinely improved for your specific use case.
And third, if your work touches cybersecurity, you need to be proactive. Document how the current model responds to your prompts before you switch over. The new classifiers are going to change things, and having that baseline is going to help you adapt to and maybe even anticipate the new behavior.
All right, so let's talk logistics. Who gets to play with these new models? The rollout started today, April 23rd. The standard GPT-5.5 is available pretty much across the board for Plus, Pro, Business, and Enterprise users, and of course in the Codex API. The more powerful GPT-5.5 Pro, however, is just for Pro tiers and above. So that brings us to the final question here. This release, it wasn't a world-shaking GPT-6 moment. It was another strong incremental step forward. And it really makes you wonder, with this relentless pace, is the future of AI going to be defined by a few giant leaps, or by this constant, rapid, and steady march forward?